How's it going, Yankee fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Ryan Garcia. Coming off a disappointing loss, the Yankees haven't scored a run in 2 games. They scored 3 runs in the last 3 games, and all coming from Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, an interesting source of run production. But this is a weird situation the Yankees find themselves in. Really facing some struggles on the offensive side. They had 7 hits yesterday. The home runs are hard to come by. Judge is kind of going through a little bit of a slump right now. Had some bad strikeouts, but ultimately this team is polarizing in the way that they can score no runs for 2 games, then they'll suddenly score 10 runs for 3 consecutive games. You're like, what the hell just happened? So I think Stanton coming back is going to be a big boost for them. He went through live batting practice yesterday and is making his way back. So I'm thinking maybe this upcoming weekend we could see him again before the Yankees have to take on the Mets against Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom, which will be extremely difficult. But we want to discuss Luis Severino today. He's making a comeback. He's looking really good, apparently. He says he hasn't felt this good all season long. That is what you want to hear from your guy that's on the 60-day IL, still has a couple of weeks left on it to get right, get healthy, and then come the postseason, he should be an asset for this team in a multitude of different ways. But Ryan, I definitely want to discuss Luis Severino, how they may use him come the postseason, and how you doing today, my friend?
Yeah, so I think we're at the point in the season where we've reached frustration levels. You're no longer losing games against, a team in the AL West where, you don't really care. It's not your division, right? Or, I know that people care about the Subway Series. I don't care a lot about the Subway Series in terms of, in comparison to other games. I still think every game against your division is the only game that matters to the point at which you're willing to play it like a playoff game. And yesterday felt like the Yankees just, whatever, lineup just showed up and lineup just showed up to play baseball. And, that was really it. There was nothing about that performance outside of what Garrett Cole did. And Loaizaga did well as well. And that was encouraging. But, look at Severino, and the Yankees just need guys to come back, man. I mean, Garrett Cole talked about this yesterday in the post game. We need a spark. That's what he said. The Yankees need a spark. The Yankees need something to get them going. And it feels like the pitching has been giving him, that spark. If you look at Garrett Cole, 6 innings, 1-run ball against Tampa, that should be the spark, right? That should be the, hey, all right, I did my job. Come on, let's get the bats going. And you have bases loaded, 1 out. Aaron Hicks comes up and grounds to a double play. You have, Glaber getting on twice and Judge hitting to 2 double plays. It's like the Yankee and, Rizzo gets a double right after Judge hits into that double play. You think to yourself, hey, if Judge even struck out there, do we have a situation where you had a runner scoring, right? It feels like at this point, the Yankees have just hit this slump where if Judge doesn't hit home runs, these guys aren't winning baseball games. If Judge doesn't step up, these guys are never going to win. And I'm not saying this to say Judge needs to step up every game. That's impossible to ask someone to hit a home run every game. It looks like Judge hits home runs every single day, but I mean, good God, how can you ask someone to carry an entire offense and consider yourself a World Series contender? Obviously they have injuries, right? And I'm not saying this team isn't a World Series contender. I don't want that to be misconstrued, but you need Severino back because you need that spark. But you look at the offense, you look at the pitching. The pitching has been fine lately, right? I'm good with the starting pitching right now. Tyon's good and Herman are giving me what I need from the back of my rotation. And then Cole, Montas, and Nestor in their last times to the rotation have looked spectacular, right? If you look at Cole's last 2 starts, the Yankees lost both those games, but he pitched 13 innings of 1-run ball, right? I couldn't be more happy with what Garrett Cole's given me against 2 playoff teams. If you're Garrett Cole, if you're the New York Yankees, if you're the starting pitching, if you're even the bullpen, I know yesterday wasn't great, but, ultimately they tried to stretch Wandy out a little bit more. He wasn't necessarily sharp. That's fine. It happens. But you expect to get more than 0 runs over your last 18 innings. I know it's not, Ryan Yarbrough is not Jacob deGrom and Michael Wacha is not Max Scherzer. I'm sorry. These are not guys that should be blanking you. That should be making you look this deplorable. Not saying that they're not, pitchers that can have a good day, but I mean, the Yankees look stupid against these guys. They just didn't look like MLB hitters. So they need Severino back because he's a great pitcher. I mean, if you look at his numbers before that horrible Cincinnati start where his velocity was way down, he was shoving, right? He was giving you low 3 ERA, striking out nearly 29% of batters, not walking a ton of guys, had a little bit of a home run problem, but the ERA was still great. So, it kind of tells you the home runs weren't with runners on, in big situations. This is a guy who could give you 6 innings, strike out 8 guys, 1-2 runs, and you feel great about that outing. So you need Severino back because you need the spark, but you also need the offense to step up.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now it's pretty clear the offense is the catalyst for failure. I mean, the run production has been nowhere to be found. I mean, even Garrett Cole after the game last night was like, "We need to spark." Who is that spark? I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it's Peraza. Maybe it's Cabrera. Maybe it's freaking Tyler Wade for all we know. It could be anybody. I don't care who it is. Someone's got to step in and make something happen here. And normally that's got to be Judge. Like Judge has got to be the one to step up to the plate and make a big moment happen. He's done it all year long. He's had multiple walk-off hits this year. For him to, I guess not even hit a home run in a couple days now is like a big surprise. Most players, you look at some guys in the Yankees, don't hit a home run all season long. But like for a Judge, it's like you expect him to be that during an MVP caliber season. Going through a little bit of a cold stretch, the entire team is right now, aside from the starting pitching. The problem is that they're not playing like they're not shooting on all cylinders. They're not firing on all cylinders. Like the starting pitching looks great. The hitting looks terrible. The hitting looks great. The starting pitching looks terrible. They've got it all. It has to all come together at some point. Hopefully that happens in September. I am worried that we're losing against inadequate pitchers, like you just mentioned. But I'm not overly concerned that they can't turn this around. I do know they can turn this around because we saw how quickly it got bad. They can equally as fast get good again. So as we get healthier, I think Stanton's going to play a big role in that. Hopefully today, against Jeffrey Springs, they get a couple runs on the board, and I just can't stand to watch Josh Donaldson hit anymore, bro. That some of his at bats yesterday were like legitimately god awful. In Hicks, oh my, I don't even want to dive into Aaron Hicks, bro. Yesterday's game from him might have been one of the most demoralizing games of an individual player I've seen in a long time. That ball, he was running aimlessly around trying to find in center field. That little squibbler with the bases loaded back to the pitcher for a double play. You couldn't ask a player to do any worse than Aaron Hicks did yesterday. And that's just really, really starting to get on my nerves. I know once the postseason comes around, Harrison Bader is going to be that everyday center fielder. Aaron Hicks is losing his job expeditedly when that happens. So I am definitely interested to see how they go about that. But Luis Severino, man, like as you said, he was doing really well before he got injured. He is showing that he's back fully from that Tommy John surgery. He really did not pitch over the last 3 years. And now he bounces back, and on the season he has a 3.45 ERA, 3.46 xFIP over 86 innings. Is just about 10 strikeouts per 9, 81% left on base rate, and 43% ground ball rate. He's performing well. Like you said, the homers are a little bit concerning at 15.6% home run to fly ball ratio. The highest since 2016. But, this is a guy who can come out of the bullpen in the postseason. That's how I think they're going to do it. I think Nestor Cortez is the starter, that number 3 starter behind Cole and Frankie Montas. And I do think Severino will be the guy coming out of the bullpen as a guy you can bring in the 6th inning. He can carry you to the 8th inning. He might even be able to carry you to the 9th inning if he's having a good day. What do you think the different ways they can utilize Severino, especially if he's 100%? He said he hasn't felt this good all season long. That is like music to my ears. That is a huge bump they're going to get come the playoffs. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts about how the different ways they can utilize him and really stretch his value.
Well, I think it's obviously you look at him as a starter, right? If he's a starter and he's that dominant guy that you've been, kind of praying you get, and you've gotten spurts of, it hasn't necessarily been, 2017, 2018 Luis Severino, but you felt like you've gotten close to that point and that the injury really derailed a chance at that. But if you get a guy like 2017, 2018 Luis Severino, something close to it, right? That is a huge advantage, right? Remember, Severino was finished top 3 in Cy Young voting, I believe, both of those years. So you get a top 3, top 4, top 5 pitcher in the American League coming back. If he can get you that level of production, not saying he will, but if he can, that's the upside, right? That's the best outcome. He gives you that, hey, I can compete for a Cy Young when I'm fully healthy type performance. You have him behind Garrett Cole and Frankie Montas and maybe a header behind of Nestor Cortez. I mean, good God, what do you do as an offense, right? Even if the Yankees offense isn't necessarily 100%, let's say the Yankees, instead of scoring 5.5 runs per game, they're scoring 3.5 runs per game. Not great. Definitely not great. That's not what the Yankees should be doing. But if you feel very good with that level of pitching that you can at least outpitch other teams, right? The Yankees aren't going to score 0 runs in the playoffs. Even that spot, Aaron Hicks is not hitting in that spot. Like, let's just be real here. Aaron Hicks is not taking that at bat. If you look at, guys, and Duhar's not taking swings in the playoffs. He's not even on the roster in the playoffs. He's not close to that roster. Donaldson's not hitting 4th in October. Glaber actually had 2 hits yesterday. Maybe he turns it around, but he's not leading off, right? That's LeMahieu's spot. He's hitting 6th or 7th in that lineup. You put Bader in there. You put Stanton in there. Carpenter's supposed to be back before the playoffs. You add those 3 guys, potentially call up a middle infielder, throw in a Luis Severino. With Carpenter and Stanton, I just listed the 2 best non-Judge Rizzo hitters on the team, arguably, right? I just listed 2 of your top 3 or 4 hitters on the team this year. So that's a huge swing for the Yankees. Severino is, I think, true talent-wise, the Yankees penciled him in. They did start him in game 2 of the season. So they saw him as their number 2 starter coming into the season. So if they think he's their number 2 starter, I'm not going to disagree with that. I think they trust Montas more right now. But if they saw him as a number 2 starter of a very good pitching staff coming into the season, and that's your 3 or your 4, I feel great about what I'm getting from Luis Severino.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's going to be an essential piece to this team come the playoffs. And hopefully we get a lot of guys back like Matt Carpenter, Bader, Sevy. Hopefully Stanton comes back the next couple of days here. But guys, I'd love to hear your perspectives below on Luis Severino. How you think he'll make an impact once he comes back from the 60-day IL during the playoffs? Would you rather have him in the starting rotation? Would you rather have him in the bullpen? Some ideas on how you think this team could turn it around right now. And it's definitely a tough part of the season, but they're using this month as seemingly one to test out certain scenarios, get a little bit healthier. And in the meantime, they're getting a little bit more injured as well with DJ LeMahieu going day to day with the toe injury. So some definitely big takeaways. Hopefully we can get back in the win column tonight, or at least put some runs on the board, snap this really just abysmal streak of hitting. So as always, appreciate all the love. Make sure to like and subscribe below, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees podcast.